asking for actually, this one I think I can ask for myself, but I will ask for a friend. Can a friend of mine argue that he or she, in fact, owns their children? And I mean direct ownership, like legal ownership of another human being. I directly mean that. Not in a slavery sense, but in a, this is my, okay, Dice, maybe I do, but you're not mistreating them, but you do legally own this person, because a person, at least in America, isn't considered an adult and have full legal rights until they're 18 years old, and they are considered on tax paperwork as dependents. But I've always felt that the tax code is just there to like give you some extra scratch for making sure that this human that you own is in fact well kept and taken care of. So in a legal sense, do I own my child? Asking for a friend.
Well, I think the hang up here, the distinction is the difference between ownership and responsibility. Ownership implies that whatever it is you own is property. And even though children don't have legal rights, they can enter into contracts as long as their parent signs off on it. They can be legally responsible for things, and their parents can be legally responsible for them. But, my table here is property, certainly, but it can't enter into a contract. It doesn't have the same legal rights that children do, even though they can't vote. So I guess you don't really own your children. You're more responsible for them.
But aren't you always responsible for things that you own?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that everything you're responsible for is something that you own.
And not everything that you own has a conscience and has a decision. Yeah, he did. He lured the shit out of you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but not everything that you own has a conscience that can somewhat decipher right from wrong. What was the thing in Ozarks where the oldest daughter tries to enter into a legal plea to wanting to be on her own?
Oh, emancipation?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit different. Because the kid is basically saying like my parents are terrible.
Oh,
but even with emancipation, you would still be appointed, for instance, like a court guardian or something like that, depending on how old the kid is and the situation and everything. It's not like the kid gets to, be an adult or something like that just because they're emancipated from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still somebody that's looking over the kid in some sort of way, is responsible for them, or if the kid was going to, like I said, sign something or whatever, somebody's got to be able to sign off on it for them.
Gotcha. And just to Murr's friend told, and what you said makes perfect sense, because this person isn't on their own anymore. This isn't a 16-year-old who's now an adult and can do as they please. But Murr's friend did happen to tell their child that if they keep it up, they're going to take him down to Chinatown. Any type of repercussions legally on that for Murr's friend?
Well, so it's funny. It's not, at least federally, illegal to sell your child.
Really?
Federally?
They apparently tried to pass some sort of Can't Sell Your Child Act from, many times between like the 1930s, 40s up until like the mid 90s, I believe. And it never passed. I don't know why.
I'm assuming there's state law,
Congress, right? Something. Actually I, did not research every state on that, but you can, of course, sort of sell it. Well, you can sell a child in a way, I think, in that like adoption fees and things like that are illegal. So it's not like a direct, like here's $100,000 for your child. You can sort of play it out, I believe, in adoption fees and certain things. But it's not, at least what I found, there's no law against it. But it's not like you're actually selling the child. You're selling the guardianship of another person, not a piece of property. A little bit of a distinction. I think of like the difference between the children. I think of dogs a lot of times, right? So somebody who does not have children, who treats my dog like a child, the legal differences are vastly different. I mean, if your dog is injured or, is hurt by somebody else, it's just the property value of the dog. You can't recover for emotional trauma because your dog was killed. You can't recover for your dog's emotional trauma for getting hit by a car or something like that. You just get the property value.
Wait, so a Labradoodle is probably gets you a more of a payday than say just a mutt from the pound?
Well, I guess, yeah, because you spent more on that dog, yes.
Huh. Okay, but you said you can still legally sell a child. Is that what I was gathering from the point a few minutes ago?
All right. Let me clarify this with a little disclaimer. I don't want to be like a stickler lawyer on this thing, but
I know, but I just want to say,
don't sell your kids without talking to a child selling lawyer who specializes in that.
Ooh, a child selling lawyer. All right.
Do you have a referral?
Because the only reason I ask that way is because if I'm using the words incorrectly, you'll have to forgive me. But it seems like sellership in on the reverse of that implies ownership, because you can't sell something that you don't own. So if you're able still, if there's a statute out there and it's still set so rock solid in stone that they need to change the laws, the rules, and the regulations moving forward to seam that up, it seems as though there is a legal argument that I do, in fact, my friend owns his child.
I think it's yes, I would agree with you. The difference is basically semantics. It's you own your child in the sense of I guess like the everyday idea of ownership and responsibility and things like that, but you don't own your child technically, under the law, because you can't own another person regardless of what age they are.
I'll have to remind you, Mr. Calvert, that in a court of law, the tone of your voice doesn't change the meaning of the words.
Yeah. Own.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
You may own your child, but you don't own your child. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, they would see the air quotes. That's. I don't know. Is this videotaped or are we just audio?
You betcha, buddy. We got you. Everything you say is on the docket, right in the archives.
Well, there you go. The air quotes for everybody. You put that in the transcripts.
We have a stenographer sitting off to the side.